Mean Invites G going up against JJN, although in different order. So it's going to be... Actually, no, JJN is on the red side and Mean Invites G is on the blue side. I'm Smite, and casting with me is the inspiration for Garen, Crisis.
I guess that's because I'm handsome. Must be.
Yeah, I just should have gone for Jace. Actually, he's more the stereotypical handsome. But anyway,
Yeah,
he's
I
Crisis.
don't have one of those Jace mouse pads though.
Oh,
Yeah, so let's move right along. We've got Mean Invites G. This is round 2 of the competition. So we brought you 2 games from round 1 earlier on, and those will be up on the Twitch channel, I guess, later on as soon as they get published. We'll also upload them to GameStar Media on YouTube for your viewing pleasure later on. But this match, Mean Invites G versus JJN, we got Mean Invites G on the left-hand side, represented by Influx, Asakura, Yoza, Enlist, and Meatmain.
and over on the red side, JJN with X-Owns, Juan, Azibang, Hoon, and Hong. Really rolls off the tongue there, especially those 3 guys, Juan, Hoon, and Hong.
That's fantastic.
Gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm actually 2 for 2 at the moment for the easier names to pronounce.
Yeah, well, we can't win everything. All right, so how did these teams get here? Well, Mean Invites G had to take out Team Adeline in the first match, and JJN took out Club Penguin. So these teams are both winners so far, but only one of them can move on to the next round. Well, let's get straight into these bands, and this is where it's going to start getting interesting because we're in round 2. Some of the teams will have been spectating the last matches. So, for example, if JJN, they were watching the last game from Mean Invites G where they took out Adeline, then maybe they can adapt their bands a little bit. And you can already see the Ziggs band out. And that's not... you see Ziggs bands sometimes, but generally you go for different bands like Trist and Cog, and that just wasn't picked up this time, so they go for Ziggs. And that could be a target band, could be adapted from the last game. Regardless, though, Mean Invites are going to first pick up Oriana.
Yeah, they picked up Oriana. They themselves have banned out Zed, Yasuo, and Maokai, and we saw in the game just before, Maokai absolutely devastating. Really doesn't matter whether he's in the top lane or in the jungle, as the case may be. Does a fantastic job. And 2 mid lane bans, so both of them focusing on AD. So Zed and Yasuo taken out. So it will be interesting to see who gets picked in the mid lane. And we've got to pick that they would have been susceptible to an AD opponent in the mid.
Although they are going for quite a combo composition already, just with those first 2 picks. Oriana, Jarvan, one of the most famous compositions, just with those 2 champions, delivering the ball right into the enemy team for brilliant shockwaves. They also follow it up with a Braum pickup because, well, why not? Morgana's banned. There's not a whole lot that can deal with Braum right now apart from Morgana, so good pickup right there. And JJN, they've answered with Trist and Thresh. Thresh... haven't seen him for a while, but he's not exactly an uncommon pick, I suppose. Trist, of course, pretty self-explanatory there. That late game hyper carry, 80 carry, super safe during the laning phase, and so much damage in the teamfight phase. And they're following it up with Elise and Jace.
Yeah, Bang trying to troll us just a little bit, cycling through the champions, but settling down on really one of the top tier junglers throughout Season 4, the Elise. And we'll expect to see some great ganks coming through into that mid lane that will no doubt get pushed up, I think, with an Oriana in the lane there. And in fact, they've banned out Ziggs, so I suppose, I don't know, they're expecting to get pushed up and then take advantage of that with ganks in the mid from Bang on the Elise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was hoping to see the Corki again. It would be the 3rd match in a row we'd see him, but instead it's going to be Caitlyn. Could simply be being played because of that Headhunter skin, but regardless, still one of the most common AD carries. Has fallen a little bit out of favor in terms of Trist and Cog taking over that marksman role, but Caitlyn still up there with the best. Such a huge range, but gains access to it right from the get-go. Oh, and I am so happy because that's an Anivia pick.
Yeah, so my prediction about Asakura on the Oriana pushing the lane up is not going to be true. I think the mid lane is going to be the quintessential farm fest between these two champions.
Absolutely, and Nivea is just ever since the game pretty much came out. I'm pretty sure Nivea shipped with the game because she's in that really low resolution cinematic that came with the start of League of Legends. But ever since the game came out, Nivea was the king of farm. Some champions have started to take that over. They do it a little bit safer with a little bit less of a mana cost. But nonetheless, Nivea can definitely shove lanes up as much as she wants, and also it's one of the other answers to delaying the game as far as you can into late game, because the glacial storm that comes from Anivia can just absolutely destroy waves. You are not shoving any turrets down that Anivia is sitting in a lane with. So good luck ever tower diving against this team. Good luck ever sieging against them. It's going to go to late game if Anivia wants it to. And with the Tristana on his team, I don't see why he wouldn't want it to.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a couple of all-in situations from Mean Invites G, taking advantage of that initiation that they'll have on the J4, followed up with a shockwave and the glacial. Is it glacial fissure?
That's the one.
From the Braum. And of course, they've got that alternative. They don't necessarily have to initiate with the J4 because they've picked up the Shyvana as their last pick in the top lane. And just having a nice little look there at the visual update of the icon on the Shyvana in comparison to, as you were pointing out, Anivia's icon that's been there since 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Have I lost you? I think I might have lost you.
Oh, sorry, I had my mic muted. Yes, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. That, if you include the beta, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That Mean Invites, they've got such a good tower diving composition because of that ball combo that can go on not one but two of the diving champions that they've got, and also, it's exactly what they need against that composition, because JJN think they're going to be all safe sitting underneath their turret defending against sieges, but eventually they're going to get a Jarvan and a Dragon to the face, and then suddenly Shockwave. So they've got to be very, very careful about that. But they've got a lot of pick potential as well, because if they're sitting underneath their turret and making it difficult for Mean Invites to dive on top of them, the second that one of them steps out of position, they're going to get hit by Death Sentence, by Cocoon, by the Flash Frost, by Anivia as well. And they've also got the ability to capitalize on that. They've got Burst from Jace, they've got Mobility also from Jace and Tristana to capitalize right on top of any long-range crowd control they can get, which also makes them fairly good at sieging down turrets themselves.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of chaos going on in the team fights. So much CC, so much utility on both of these teams. It's going to be pretty exciting. Really looking forward to it. How do you see the matchup between Shyvana and Jace going?
Well, of course, Jace, he's got the option to, sit in that ranged form, harass Shyvana down, and the second Shyvana tries to catch up to him, because Shyvana doesn't have an instant gap closer short of her ultimate, and even then, it's still essentially a dash. And Jace, as soon as he sees that happening, he can just simply smack Shyvana away, drop down the acceleration gate, run through it, and then if Shyvana isn't careful, she's going to get a shock blast to the face. So really, Shyvana is going to have to rely on either the jungler looking after her, or being able to shove the lane so hard that Jace has trouble with it. But Jace, as long as he's got the mana to do it, has good wave clear anyway. So I feel like Shyvana might struggle a little bit up there, especially if the skirmishes do not go in her favor, because Meatman, he's got teleport rather than Hoon, who's got ignite. So the fights are going to go in Jace's favor if he wants them to.
Yeah, and a perfect example of the kind of trade-offs that you face when you are deciding what you're going to do in that top lane, because we've got one of the champions has picked up the TP, and that means the Shyvana is going to have much better map presence as long as their TP is up in terms of things like dragon control. Whereas Jace has decided, look, he doesn't want that map presence. He wants to be able to dominate his lane and take the advantages out of that. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the teams are able. Oh, we've got our first engage. Death Sentence just misses. So I'll just go back. Just going to be interesting to see whether the tools that these two teams have picked are going to be enough to give them the victory.
It's so weird having the computers that I'm spectating load faster than my computer.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I ended up loading in about 40 seconds into the game. But regardless, you are at a minute 7, 8.
Yes.
Yep, alright, cool. So Azibang is hanging around, being a little bit dangerous, but they don't know that, oh no, he's going to walk into it. This is going to be First Blood here, gets absolutely shredded apart. First Blood also going over to Influx, which is the jungler, so he'll be able to spread that gold advantage across the lanes. Going for a quick recall, but I don't think Influx is going to be able to do it. They're still sitting here. They might go for an invade on the blue buff anyway.
Yeah, and why not? You've got your whole team here. You just send one of them back. You've put the fear of God into your opponent. So JJN are not going to want to check any brushes after that. And you can see that Juan is kind of hanging around the blue buff. Oh, Azibang doesn't care. He's heading on down. He's going to face check. In fact, he avoids checking the brush. I suppose that's one way of avoiding the danger entirely. And here comes that blue invade. It is a 4-man invade. And they're going uncontested to pick up their opponent's blue.
I'm rather surprised that JJN didn't leave a ward on their own blue buff just to get vision of it, just to make sure that it is being stolen. And what are we actually seeing Meatman doing here? He's just running down, checking his own blue buff, making sure JJN aren't going for a steal on that, although a little bit questionable on the timing there because lost half a wave of farm. Jace is going to get level 2 first, and that's kind of scary because Jace, unlike most champions, he doesn't get 2 abilities at level 2, he gets 4.
Oh, of course, because of his changing forms.
Yeah, I guess technically 6 if you count the transformation between each one, but let's leave that one out. In any case, it's going to give him a huge advantage in any fights that do go down, and with that ignite, I feel like Meatman is just going to get zoned, and it's already happening.
Hong getting some good harass onto his opponent Asakura in the mid lane, dropping his Q nicely onto Asakura, and then following up with the frosty E. I think it's E.
Yeah, it is E. I think it's called Flash Frost. But Hong, he's definitely putting down harass as much as he can, but he's got to be very careful with his mana pool there, because before you get any items on Anivia, you definitely suffer from a lot of that mana issues. And now we've already seen X owns, he's moved down to the bottom lane, but hasn't found a gank just yet. Perhaps looking for a death sentence into Dark Passage, and here it comes!
Yeah, he come in and he's picked up on Yoza. Yoza's going to be the first man to go down. Well, in fact, it's the second man to go down in the match. And of course, that brings the scores level to 1-1. Raum, unfortunately, not able to mustache his way through that.
And Influx going a little bit as hard as he can on that gank. Of course, he didn't have Meatman anywhere nearby, so there wasn't really any kill potential there, really, and Hoon just uses Acceleration Gate to get out of there. Influx going to be moving into enemy jungle through that Tribush, maybe looking to fight at least, but unfortunately, Exone's, he's in enemy territory already, doing a bit of counter jungling himself, so not going to find him there at all. Most junglers, though, not really able to find a gank just yet.
Here, Juan and Asibang down at the bottom lane, just trying to take advantage of that Braum kill, pushing the lane all the way up and forcing Enlist to CS underneath the turret, and really doing quite a good job considering just 6 CS behind his lane opponent at the moment, and he'll be able to regain that with this wave. So nice work there, managing under pressure from Enlist down there at the bottom.
Yeah, definitely not the worst thing in the world down there. And Caitlyn definitely can capitalize on the fact that Thresh really is an all-in champion. That if he doesn't get those kills, then it's just not going to be as good. So Caitlyn really can lay down that harass, especially after every Winter's Bite hits from Braum. Proccing those concussive blows can be very, very dangerous. And Thresh doesn't have any escape, whereas Trist you're not really ever going to kill her. On top of Rocket Jump, there's also Dark Passage to get out of there, so very, very difficult to deal with that.
Yeah, Thresh, I suppose his saving grace is if he can get a well-timed play in and then follow up with a death sentence while he's walking away. But he's got to get those combos together. And, well, it'll be interesting to see whether he's able to do it. Looking across the map, heading to the 6-minute mark, and things are really neck and neck. That reply kill down in the bottom lane, making sure that the goal differential from losing first blood not really having much of an impact, as the junglers just really go about their way. A little bit of counter jungling from both of them, kind of offsetting each other. And everybody in the lane being quite respectful, really, and just making sure that they keep the farm up.
One big advantage, though, in the top lane here is Hoon, who's gone straight onto Meatman. He's got his jungler nearby for reinforcements if he needs to, and looking for a lane gank as well. And the important thing to note is that Hoon, he's so far ahead, despite being having several visits from Influx, who's come up, tried to get a kill onto him, but just can't find a single thing. And yet Hoon is still more than 10 CS ahead.
You're doing a very, very good job. It's kind of swings and roundabouts in the mid lane, but we might get a little bit of action in the bottom lane. Influx lurking in the brush in the river there, looking for an opportunity to go in. He'll want Enlist and Yoza to get the engage on, but there's a double ping for retreat, and that'll have been from the Anivia. I think Orianna just kind of overcooked things and spoiled the gank opportunity for Influx, who's now deciding, well, look, I'm going to go and check out what's going on in my opponent's jungle.
And he'll be successful there. Of course, Exone's all the way over at his own red buff, but not going to be able to get the big dog when he moves over there. Jarvan going to be able to sneak back to his own jungle, pick up his red buff. Of course, it's spawning a little bit later than Exone's, because Jarvan managed to grab the blue buff off of Exone's. Now, Meatman, he's dropping really, really low. He does have teleport available, though, so if he can get a sneaky recall, jump back in with teleport, he might be alright. Although Hoon still has his Ignite up, has gone for Tears of the Goddess, so his damage isn't huge, but he'll be able to put it out constantly. Influx, maybe caught out here, does use the flag and drag to get out of there, but a Flash Frost hits. No, there's the Cocoon into the Flash Frost, stunned up forever, has to flash to get out of there, repel on the chase, and one more bite. Oh, there's Shockwave catching him out, and it's going to be enough damage to take out Exones, and Asakura going to walk away from that pretty happy with how that went.
Yeah, beautiful little heal coming through right at the end there, making sure that he didn't go down. So J4 managing to not only get away with his invade, but actually come away with creating a situation where they pick up a kill. And it's now 2-1. Still a very, very close game. Down in the bottom lane, Enlist not taking any real harass at the stage, and in fact has gotten a 10 CS swing going on. He's now 7 CS ahead of his lane opponent, despite getting pushed back there. So nicely done. In the top lane, JJN Hoon is still very much in command over there, and really Meatman at this stage is playing a very, very dangerous game, staying underneath his toes and trying to defend. And in fact, here we go, Hoon decides to go in. Straight away, Meatman turns around, drops the Dragon's Descent down onto him and eats an Ignite for good measure, and it's not enough to take him down, so he's going to just blue pill, with Hoon taking too much damage to really stick in lane for much longer after this cannon minion, I think.
And we saw Asakura...
Oh, down at the bottom lane, sorry. We've got Hong coming through for kind of a drive-by. Elise was down there too, and he just plopped down his Glacial Storm and then wanders back on out.
Absolutely, and just wasn't able to find anything there because Thresh, I feel like he went in a little bit too early. Didn't have Dark Passage to throw behind him to bring in another laner or a jungler to look for a kill. Now, Influx, he's moving in, hasn't been spotted by a ward just yet, so he's going to have the element of surprise. Could come in at any second now.
Well, I didn't actually manage to see the path that he took, so he might have walked past this ward that he's walking past again in that river there. So unfortunately, not really able to create anything, and not at this point, just not prepared to go for any sort of tower dive. Just not feeling confident enough in what he's been able to build, and just as well, he's got no armor, so probably a good idea to steer clear of the tower dive at this early stage.
Definitely, and still disadvantage in the top lane. Uh-oh, here comes an invade on the blue buff. It's already been taken by Asakura, but the Cocoon connects, but of course, nothing's going to be followed up on that. Too far into enemy territory. Death Center's catching onto a List, but the box comes out, locking them up, and they've been knocked into the turret as well, and List dropping really, really low, does eventually go down to Azibang, and Juan is doing the kiting dance here, and Yoza is not going to be... does catch up with the concussive blows, but not sure where you're going to go from there, bro. Oh, wow! Oh wow, he even flashed to get the last auto attack. Not going to be enough though, and it's going to be 2 kills over to Azibang actually on the support thresh.
I mean, I like what he tried to do there. He was very, very close. He knew that he wasn't going to get out of lane. He knew that he was going to die anyway, and he decided to just throw whatever he could to try and get it. Now, trouble's brewing up in the top lane. Meatmane pushing forward, manages to avoid getting taken in by the spider's web, and uses Dragon Descent to get out of trouble. So Exones will be disappointed that he dropped his Cocoon onto a minion instead of the champion.
And that could have turned things completely around. It could have given Hoon plenty of time to walk around and use Thundering Blow to knock Shyvana even further away from the turret, and maybe even pick up a kill there, but unfortunately it wasn't the case, so they're going to have to deal with that. But the fact is, Hoon is still so far ahead in this top lane, just dominating the creep score, even building for the late game with his Tears of the Goddess, and still being ahead. And it's going to be a little bit terrifying when he does finally pick up that Mana Mute.
Yeah, 3-2 at the 12-minute mark, and Jace getting himself set up for the late game. We're kind of heading out of the early game, I suppose, and really too early to call at this stage. Both of the teams doing some interesting things in the lanes and through the jungle, and maintaining the gold parity. I think it's going to come down to that first dragon, as you were talking about in Champ Select, Smite.
Yeah, and it's absolutely what Invites want to go for. They've got a lot of that power in their ultimates that they have very recently gained. It's a little bit later than that, but now is about the time to go for Dragon. They've got Teleport from their top laner, whereas Teleport's only on Hong in the mid lane for JJN. And Shyvana teleporting down is a little bit more impactful than an Anivia teleporting down, especially when Anivia can, most of the time, just walk down anyway.
Yeah, Exones wanders past a pink ward, decides maybe he'll turn around and kill it. There you go. He has decided. So the battle for vision is beginning.
Hold on, down in the bot lane, Azibang caught out by the Glacial Fisher, does go down to enlist. Juan, though, rocket jumping straight out of there, and Exone's nowhere near to help out.
Hey, shout out to our viewers in the Twitch channel, Lord Axiom especially, talking about the overlays, and that is thanks to Theo, who, Snowy Panda, let's just call him that, Snowy Padre, sorry, who put together the overlays for today's broadcast. And now we have our first dragon, and it's the blue team, completely uncontested.
And that was just because they forced Tristana back into base, and Azibang had already died, so perfect time to take out that dragon. No reason not to take it. And if things did go south, they did have the teleport backup from their top laner, so no reason not to go for that dragon. And now bot lane are looking to get a little bit of a lead here. A single kill may have been enough to turn things around, especially because despite 2 of the kills being on the JJN bot lane, they're both on Thresh, who really won't be providing nearly as much as a marksman.
No, absolutely not. He might be able to gain some vision control from picking up an early side stone. In the top lane, we've got man-on-man Hoon versus Meatmane. And unfortunately, Meatmane goes down, but Oriana's arrived. Asakura is going to be looking for a reply over there, but unfortunately, the acceleration gate comes out and Hoon absolutely blasts out of the lane.
JJN really looking to build up a lot of their stats right now. I mean, there's 2 tiers there's only one on Anivia, one on Jace, and Hong, he's looking to build Rod of Ages as well. So really in about 10-12 minutes, they're going to really be at their peak, and that's kind of terrifying because they're ahead in kills right now. Exones, though, is in enemy territory, has to flash over the wall. The flash is followed by Asakura, though, who's got a long distance for a ball to travel, though. Hong is here for backup, throws out the wall. And now it's Asakura on the retreat.
Lovely
Influx
stun.
coming in, and he does connect the stun. Asakura now out of mana, so Shockwave isn't really going to be an option, and both teams going to retreat away from this.
I like that influx. As the spider comes to him, he turns around, faces forward like a man, takes the hit to the face, and then walks away. Down in the bottom lane, it is really let's just keep our CSing up. 125 to 120, so nothing really in it between these two champions. Just the advantage sitting on Caitlyn at the moment with 1 kill and 1 assist. Oh, a flash from Icy Bang to try and get a Descendants down. It works. He drops the box. He's got the play through, and the reply might come through from Meatmane, who arrives, eats himself an exhaust, and he is now in a huge amount of trouble. He didn't have Dragon Form available to him, so he's had to walk out of the lane. Enlist gets stunned. These stuns from Hong are absolutely on point, and getting followed up by his teammates. For his good measure, Hong picks up that kill on the Caitlyn. Lovely piece of play in the bottom lane.
And that was just questionable play out there from Meatman. I mean, the Thresh Flash into the Death Sentence catching out Brown, really good play there. But then the teleport really should have been cancelled as soon as Brown died, because you left Hoon up in the top lane to farm as much as he wants, gets the tower down, and then you're also pulling Influx up there to deal with that. And in the end, you lose the fight down there anyway. There wasn't a lot to gain out of it either. At best, you were going to be able to get 1 kill and then die yourself, and even that didn't happen. So, and the fact that teleport's going to be down by the time the next dragon spawns is kind of crucial for mean invites.
Hoon, having taken taken down his top turret, decides he's going to steal his wraith. So just letting the jungler know who's boss of the jungle in that top area there. And then heads off to Blue Pill and finishes off. What does he finish off? His last whisper. He's going for super amounts of armor pen.
And his abilities are just going to start doing so much damage because, of course, Armor Pen works with the physical damage from that. Influx moving into the bottom lane, catches out Arzy Bank, throws out the Cataclysm, concussive blows, keeping him in there. Oh wow, Buster Shot taking them right out of the Cataclysm, and the shield from Dark Passage. Death Sentence coming in just for a last second CC, and Brown caught out by the Cocoon there. Nivea comes in, takes out Influx, and List in a lot of trouble. The wall completely blocks him out, and despite Asakura arriving down there, I don't think any amount of shockwaves can really save them down there.
Yeah, Sakura running for his life now and manages to get away without giving over another kill to JJN. And JJN really in charge of the game at the moment. They're on 9-4 in the lead. They've suddenly turned a neck-on-neck game in terms of gold into a 3,000 gold advantage, and they're going to further extend it as soon as this bottom turret goes down. It's just got a few hits on it, and the lane pushing power of Tristana will get a wave to it, I think, before his opponents are going to be able to get there to defend.
And importantly, if they can get this turret down, get the bottom lane to slow push a little bit. Dragon spawning in less than a minute. They can recall the base, move down to Dragon, and start taking it out as soon as they can, because there's no way that Meatman is going to leave the top lane. Hoon is just too much of a presence up there. Someone has to stay there and deal with him. And it can also bring Influx up there. So the moment that they see Influx trying to help out Meatman, they should go for the Dragon, because JJN just have absolute dominance in the bottom side of the map right now.
We got the supports meeting each other in the jungle. RC Bang and Yoza just exchanging a couple of how's your fathers, and it's really about vision, and that's why they met. They're trying to get some positioning going on around this dragon. It's about to spawn in 10 minutes, and really you've got to say that this is going to be a bit of a slap fight, I think.
I feel like it. Both top laners moving down. Hoon just a little bit closer than Meatman though. JJN wasting no time getting onto the dragon as soon as possible. Not a lot of stealing potential. The jungler's nearby. Arzy Bang though completely distracting him. Will die for his efforts, but does keep the enemy jungler away from jumping over the wall. Hoon's arrived, but he's caught out by the shockwave, and there's a lot of members of Mean Invites there, but they can't quite catch him as the thundering blow keeps him alive. And now JJN are on the retreat. Cataclysm caught onto Trista, just rocket jumps out of there, and now Me and Invites, they can't find anything. They're going to have to walk out of there. And now JJN, they're still on the pursuit. If they can find the cocoon, which they're not going to, they're just going to back off now.
Yeah, just one death in exchange for that dragon. And they will be saying to each other, worth at this stage the gold lead now up to the 5,000 mark as we headed past that 20 minutes of the game. All three turrets now down for outer turrets down for Mean Invites G, and JJN dominating at this stage. Oh no, they got one. It's one dragon. The first dragon went to the blue team, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And so really,
so that's 1 for 1. It's really just the turrets that are the difference, as well as the kills stacking on the gold.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see what they decide to do with this Jace now, because we've seen him move down for team fights. He can either sit up in the top lane and shove it up as much as he can, but because Meatman has teleport, Hoon's just not going to have as much presence. Or they can bring Hoon down for more team fights, look for sieging down turrets, because those shock blasts are going to destroy the members of Mean Invites. Last Whisper and Brutalizer, and he's got the mana to sustain it with his Tears of the Goddess. It's going to be a massive asset for taking down any of the next inner turrets.
Yeah, it's almost fully stacked as well, so he's got about 140 mana to go before it's completely stacked, and then he'll be looking to complete his Mana Moon and get the resultant power spike from that. I think the one important thing that we've got to remember about a Jace in the top lane versus a any champion really with a TP is Jace's knockback could potentially interrupt the TP. So if we end up with a situation where there's a 1 versus 1 and then a 4 versus 4 fight somewhere else that Meatman wants to join, it'll be a test of Hoon's skills to see if he's able to get the interrupt in.
JJN moving on the offensive here, blocking out Mean Invites from their own jungle. Not sure what they're trying to achieve here. Maybe just trying to find some picks here, but not going to catch any as Mean Invites are 2 on top of that. Moving in now to start pushing down the lanes. They've got Anivia and Jace in one lane, everyone else in the other, so they definitely have the pushing power, but someone's got to deal with that Shavana in the top lane. X-Zones though, he's walked into 2 enemies, dropping really low. There's the Glacial Fisher, and they're locked up inside the box here though, catching everyone out, and Liz still sitting in the back line, doing a lot of damage. Eventually though, Juan takes down Braum. Hong has arrived, flashes in for the wall, but Caitlyn just 90 caliber nets through it. So 1 kill after what looked like a massive fight, but Shavana takes down the turret in the top lane.
Yeah, such low health on 3 of the champions. Oh wow, RC Bang is not scared at the moment. Goes and grabs Asakura with the death sentence, brings him into range for him to pick up a kill. So unfortunately Tristana goes down, but that's okay, because it's a 1-for-1 exchange in terms of champion kills. Sorry, a 1-for-2 exchange in terms of champion kills, and JJN's going to walk away with taking down a 2nd tier turret down in the bottom lane.
And Meatman not quite able to get that inner turret in the top lane. Of course, the teleport coming up from Hong, keeping it alive. So a lot of the map has just opened wide for JJN right now. They can walk around that bottom side of the jungle. They're already doing it before, but now they don't even really have to worry about any turrets. Picking up the Talisman of Ascension as well on Thresh is going to allow them to capitalize on all these picks that they're going for as well. Catching people out with Flash Frost, Death Sentence, and Cocoon, and then getting a massive team-wide Ghost at the same time will really allow them to capitalize on any of those kills. And when they bring down Hoon for 5v5s, then combine that with the Acceleration Gate, they can engage or disengage onto whatever they want.
It's getting to the point where they're going to want to force one of those fights. They starting to gather themselves around. We've got a minute and a half before the next dragon, so we might have a play on the next dragon as they get themselves set up for that. Alternatively, they might be just content with forcing a mid lane push. But whatever happens, they're all hanging around down in that mid lane, bottom lane, and river area.
At the same time, though, Meatman in the top lane, he's going to be doing the same thing. He's got teleport, can jump down to any fights that do happen. The dragon fight, most likely one to continue from that. Yoza caught out by the death sentence. At least is there to capitalize. The Nivea is arriving, but the Shockwave keeping them alive. And Brown will always have Glacial Fissure. Meatman teleports down, but to what avail? Unfortunately, nothing. Yoza caught out by the death sentence, and they're going straight in. Bang, though, gets shredded as soon as he arrives. Meatman also dropping really, really low. The shield isn't going to keep him alive from the Flash Frost. X-Own still on the pursuit. Influx is there. And now that Juan's arrived, this is going to be a big advantage. X-Own's, though, really, really low. Brown getting out just alive. Piltover Peacemaker catching on to X-Own's. Juan walking straight into that Piltover Piece, the ace in the hole. And in comes Juan with a rocket jump, but not quite able to get the reset. And Rebirth is procced onto Hong, who's moving in, but triple kill actually for Juan in the end.
Yeah, he came up and was a little bit of the cleanup crew and did enough damage to make sure that Hong was able to get his rebirth from the egg and remain in this mid lane to keep pushing and then move right on out. Ping goes down on the dragon though.
Important to note as well, the fight that JJN just won was a 4v5, not in their favor. They were allowed to just leave Hoon up in the top lane, got a turret, and now because they won that fight, they have the option to go for Dragon, but backing off from it, maybe waiting for the jungler, the AD carry to arrive, but it's going to be very hard for Mean Invites to contest this, but I feel like they're definitely going to try.
Yeah, they've got to. They're falling behind by too much at this stage. 43,000 to 36k gold as we head towards the 27-minute mark. They are 6 kills behind, and they are 4 turrets, most importantly, behind. Just that one turret getting taken down by Meatman at the top lane. As the vision has been cleared for the red team, and look at them absolutely monster down that dragon. It was there for all of 4 seconds after they initiated on it?
Yeah, just taking it down so quickly. There was just no contest that could come out from Mean Invites at all. They brought Hoon down. They're marching down this mid lane, the last inner turret left. And with about 3 abilities that are really important. Oh wow, and also using that wall to completely deny them from stopping that. The Shyvana proccing the Shockwave there after going in. Influx has to get straight out of there. Asakura caught out a little bit inside the box, and JJN really tearing down this fight as well. Asakura going to pop out of that and immediately die to Jace. Not a single death over on JJN, and Exxon still on the pursuit. He's the only one there though, and List and Yoza really have to be careful on whether they engage, but they've got to go into defend that inhibitor turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's going to be too little too late. They'll arrive too late. Another flash from the Thresh that grabs onto the Caitlyn, and then List gets taken down in short order. Certainly the Dragon is a lot more tanky than the Caitlyn at this stage, and we saw how fast that went down. So JJN now using the acceleration gate to get out of dodge as quickly as possible, head straight on up to the Baz Kebab and sit down for a quiet meal.
Oh, the Baz Kebab. Oh, that's perfect. Regardless though, JJN going straight for it, and just like the Dragon, they are melting down the Baron. And honestly, 0 contest coming out from Mean Invites, and they're just going to walk away. Going into recall, they've got a lot of gold on every single member. Heal up and come back and win these team fights.
Yeah, things looking very, very dire at this stage for Mean Invites G. Influx heads on up to the Dragon Pit, the Baron Pit, and discovers that there are no leftovers whatsoever. It's really just cleaning up in their own jungle now. Fortunately, Asakura manages to get his own blue, as the decisive call for Baron didn't allow for a stop-off on the way to pick up the blue. So he'll be taking some small positives out of that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take what you can out of that. Bringing it back to the game, though, I feel like Mean Invites, anything short of a perfect wombo combo engaged from them is just not going to be enough. There's a Fed Tristana on the enemy team right now who's got several items working on a defensive item, likely going to be a Banshee's Veil. Going to be very hard to catch out once that happens. You've already got to get through the peel of a Thresh, so it really needs to be an absolutely perfect wombo combo or very big mistakes from JJN, and that's a bad thing to rely on.
Oh, we've got the two supports in the mid lane going in on each other. Thresh has got himself a little bit isolated. He's got Hong in support there though, and Hong is going to get himself isolated. There's that wombo coming through, but unfortunately Hong does not go down. He's just
this could be a pentakill.
There's the Quadra.
looking to go for the pentakill, but Asakura making it as difficult as possible. Juan really wants this, despite having the ability to go for the win. Unfortunately, we're not going to see a pentakill. A little bit disappointed. I wanted to scream pentakill, but I feel like they can push for the Nexus turrets for the win here.
Yeah, they pretty much can. Orianna on her own is not going to be able to defend. The shockwave is down, and really there's too much in the HP bucket for their opponent JJN. We've headed on down. The inhib might spawn at some point, but I don't think it's going to be in enough time. The targeting going down onto that Nexus at the moment. One just trying to pick up additional kills, I guess. Nobody's actually focusing on this Nexus. It seems to be the pattern in the matches today through this RTG qualifier, but the victory in the end to JJN.
Yeah, and Super Minions, they've always got their eye on the goal. They know to go for the Nexus, not those silly champions. They don't need to pad their stats, but yes, absolutely right. JJN taking out the win. They'll be moving on to the semi-finals match, and I believe they'll be playing against Villains, who have taken out a win against Killer Clown. And also moved into the semi-finals. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be putting up the bracket on the stream just so you guys can see what's going on. I'm not sure which matchup we'll be casting next, but I believe it will be one of the semi-finals matches. So do not go anywhere.